You know what? I'm going to get really better with this one day. So it is April 17th, and this is our latest episode of This Just In. Again, we're going to get better about this. And, remember to turn this down when we do it. We have a lot of things to talk about. Obviously, there was a lot of bombshells, a lot of new revelations brought up about Riley Strain yesterday. There's a lot of things talking about the Proudfoots and Sebastian Rogers. But then there's something else that we need to talk about, and that's the TikTok ban. So we'll talk about that too, because once we thought it was over, it's not. And they're being very sneaky about it, trying to sneak it in, and it's not really getting any press. So we're going to change that. Okay. But before we do it, while we let people trickle in, we have to go through and do our housekeeping items. Okay. So basically what we're going to talk about first is the podcast, right? You guys know I have a podcast. I used to do it just once a month. Now we're trying to do it basically every time we have a good interview, anything big that's going on, we're uploading it to the podcast. I've considered taking these shows and putting it on there, but I'm not really quite sure. I've had a couple of people say they want to. A couple of people haven't just responded, so I don't know if it's really worth doing it. So we'll figure that out. Are people going to listen to it daily? If you're listening to it now, drop it in the comments. If you're listening to this later, also drop it in the comments so we know. what's going on. Obviously, the next thing I want to talk about is the books. A lot of y'all who have been here know that I've written a couple books. The newest one, Surprises Are Okay, Secrets Are Not, are out. And look, this is kind of a heavy way to address it, I guess. But basically, I don't want to be doing a story about one of your children. This book is designed to help kids learn to not keep secrets and not let adults have them keep secrets for them. And I think about stories like Madeline Soto, Audrey Cunningham. Her father just did this whole thing the other day, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, where he wishes when he last saw Madeline, and not Audrey, sorry, Madeline, when his, good Lord, I'm getting tongue-tied here. When her dad saw him in October, saw her, he wishes he had said something, wishes that she would have told him and confided. That's what the purpose of this book is. The other one is Boundaries. You guys know what this is about. Boundaries. Your no contact, limited contact. This book is a way to help explain that to your kids in a way that's easy for them to understand, that doesn't vilify anyone, and then teaching them the importance of boundaries, to speak up, to use their voice. That's what we want them to do, right? It's important. I feel that as a parent and as kids, our kids deserve better than what we had. And as parents, we deserve better tools, and that is the purpose of these books. Now, the last thing that I kind of want to talk about before we get in is if you're new here, you're listening for the first time, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to grow this channel, try to do more things on it. And I appreciate the support with it. You can also hit that join button down below and join the family if you want to support the channel financially. This is my full-time job. Obviously, you're not obligated, but just letting you know, and sorry, YouTube family, and you could do that. Somebody real quick is asking about the books and the ages for them, and this is what I'm going to say about that. On the books themselves, they say that they are recommended for 4 to 8 because my publisher made me put that on there. The first book, I've had adults say, including today, Audrey Cunningham's family today told me that as grown adults in their 50s, they felt that the book was written for them. So even though it's technically a children's book, it works too for adults, for older kids, etc. It's kind of a parenting book, almost like Bluey. It's a book for parents that kids can read too. The other one, Surprise Are Okay, Secrets Are Not, same thing. It's got 4 to 8 on there, but I wrote it. And I'll show you something real quick in it that's pretty neat. I wrote this book to go all the way up to tweens because after you talk to your kid and read the story, it's got a discussion question that can open up a dialogue so that you can talk about any situation that you want with your kid, because obviously the discussion you're going to have a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old are going to be very different. So you can go in as a parent, it gives you that opportunity. So you can really use it for any age, honestly. So that being said, let's get into some stuff. Before we get into the other stories, meaning Riley Strain, the Kansas City women, Sebastian Rogers, I want to show y'all something. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, there is a situation with our government, and they are obsessed with TikTok and banning TikTok. I personally think that what this really boils down to is they don't like the fact that information spreads like wildfire. And so if they do something that's not appropriate, they support something that's not appropriate, then it spreads. And that can cost them an election. Democrat, Republican, politicians, all of them, they got one job. That's to get reelected. Once they get elected, the next several years are spent prepping to get reelected again. Okay, so I'm going to show you this video. I was going to go through and dissect this video and talk about it in its entirety. But this creator on TikTok, it's Under the Desk News. Wonderful creator, amazing creator for news. If you don't follow them, definitely do. It's called Under the Desk News. And I'm going to show you their video because it's going to explain it very well what's going on. And as Americans, you should be livid because TikTok is doing less than what Meta does. Facebook, Instagram It's doing less than so many other things, but they're only focused on TikTok because they believe that it's got Chinese influence, despite the fact that the CEO, who they think is Chinese, despite multiply telling our government that he was Singaporean, that the servers are not housed in China, that nobody in China has access to this. That is the hill they're choosing to die on. Okay. So I'm just going to shut up. I want you to watch this.
Let's talk about if the TikTok ban is going to pass this week, because I think you deserve to know exactly what's going on and the ways that our government is misusing, in my opinion, the levers of power that they hold to pass legislation that is deeply unpopular with the American public. Both sides of the aisle in Congress are desperate to pass a spending package that would provide aid to Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine. Last week, the Senate passed a $95 billion package that would have done just that. But the House said, we don't like it being bundled together. We want to break it up and we want a line item vote on each country and if they should get support or not. So Speaker Mike Johnson has done exactly that. And in the bill that provides $26.4 billion to Israel's war on Gaza, they added language to appease the Democrats that would also give $9.1 billion in humanitarian relief. And right below that, he added language that would force the divestment of TikTok. They could not get that TikTok forced divestment legislation passed on its own, so they have couched it in a must-pass security bill. The House Republicans have also added language that would impose stricter sanctions on China, Iran, and Russia, and would allow the United States to sell off assets that we have seized from Russian oligarchs. None of this funds security at the southern border. That is a fifth bill that they are expected to try and vote on this week. It is very likely that this legislation will be on Biden's desk to sign as of Saturday, and Biden has said in the past that he supports banning TikTok. So I have no reason to believe that he would not sign legislation that force the divestment of TikTok. And I know Congress thinks that everybody will get over this, that because TikTok won't exactly go away and will continue to operate for the next 6 months while they try to find a buyer, that people won't actually end up being that bothered by the fact that Congress forced a divestment of TikTok. But here's where I think they are not thinking, and I think that they are very wrong, and I am deeply concerned. We have told people for the last 4 years at least to be involved in their local elections, to vote, that voting matters, that voting can change the course of our government, that voting can be a voice of the people. Well, the people raised their voice in massive numbers and said that we don't want to see a divestment of TikTok be forced upon us. We don't want a TikTok ban. And when our elected officials couldn't get that legislation passed because it had nothing to do with data privacy and had all to do with trying to control information, they couched that legislation, which should be its own bill and should come with data privacy restrictions, in a must-pass spending package. And that is going to cause a lot of people to distrust the American government even more than many of them already do. If you think that this is going to help voter turnout, are you wrong? And the fact is, voting is one of the few things that we have left as citizens to try and exact any kind of power on a corrupt government. But people who hear this and say, well, I voted and it didn't work and they don't listen to me, and so I'm not going to show up next time, aren't going to show up to vote in this election. And while that'll affect the presidential election or whoever's running for Senate or whatever, who it's going to most impact are the ballot initiatives in the states for things like access to abortion, legalizing marijuana. If people don't trust their elected officials to carry out the will of the people and they don't trust the democratic institution that is voting, they're not going to show up. That will be the consequence of what we do this weekend. And so I'm just asking that you don't give up. You don't give up your vote. You don't give up on those ballot initiatives that can improve your daily life and protect you from bad federal legislation. I'm not saying who you should vote for. I'm just saying don't give up your voice. Don't give up your vote. Because while it doesn't always work, it works a lot of the time. I also want to say I'm really sorry because I, for the last 4 years, have encouraged people to participate in government and in civics and register to vote, and so many of you have. I've encouraged you to call your congressman and your senator and tell them what you don't like about what they're doing and what you want them to do. I encouraged you, along with thousands of other creators, to call and advocate for this platform that 200 million Americans use every day, that 7 million small businesses operate on. And all of that effort did, in fact, fall on deaf ears, it feels. And so I am sorry. I'm sorry for making you believe in something that I believed in, that I still believe in, and that and that whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you were unheard in this case. So I'm not giving up on America, and I'm not giving up on voting, and I'm not giving up on civics, but I am a little bit bummed. I'm a lot bummed. I'm hurt. I think it's weird when you get your feelings hurt by the government. Like, what? But that's how it feels right now. You know, TikTok puts $24 billion into the American GDP a year. Where are we going to make that up? I don't know. But again, nothing will change about your TikTok experience right now. It won't change for the next 6 months. There are already ACLU challenges to any forced divestment. So I plan to be here just as long as you plan to keep being here. And we'll just share the time we have left and enjoy it. Because it could be a long time, could be years. This app could become irrelevant and uninteresting before they ever get it together to actually enforce any kind of divestment or ban. Like all things, right? Facebook was the hottest thing at one time, then it was Instagram, then it was Snapchat, now it's TikTok. It will be something else someday. And hopefully we can just keep this place running until then or beyond. Oh, well, I've said too much. I'm going to go
You guys get the
have
point
some
on
orange
that.
juice. I don't know. That sounds good.
You guys get the point. And here's my biggest thing with it. There are a lot of people who make their livelihood on TikTok. I'm one of them, not just as a social media creator, but as an author as well. TikTok Shop is probably 50 to 60% of my book sales. The other thing that's really challenging about it is the fact that they don't listen. Democrat, Republican. I called my representatives. I know a lot of y'all called your representatives, and they just don't listen. But you know what they will listen to? Losing their job. So what I'm going to encourage people to do is vote. And I'm not going to tell you to vote Democrat or Republican or independent. What I'm going to tell you to do is look for your area. Look up and see how your representatives voted for or against your interests. Because there's a lot of Democrats and a lot of Republicans that voted for this ban. It was very bipartisan. And I would say, if you live in an area and a Democrat voted to ban it, vote for their Republican counterpart. If you live in an area and a Republican voted to ban it, vote for their Democrat counterpart. Put them out of a job. Put them out of a job. They don't think there's power with this. A lot of people vote party lines. For many, many years, I voted only with party lines. And that's the closest you're going to get to know where my politics stand. But I don't anymore. I vote based on the issues that are most important to me and the individual candidate. And we look and see what they do. And if those candidates aren't doing what we elected them to do, then out. And I think more people need to do that. I think that more people need to take themselves outside of the box of a Democrat or a Republican. Stop thinking Republicans are evil. Stop thinking Democrats are evil. And look at the key issues, look at the candidates, and see which one really aligns. And that's what I'm going to say. Think outside the box a little bit. Because it sucks to not be here. And I'm going to stop and we'll go on to other things. But I wanted y'all to know this because the amount of information that we have through TikTok is really quite amazing. The communities that we've built outside of just our normal videos are amazing. I love my community that I have here. I will argue with anybody, and I'm growing on YouTube as well, and so I haven't learned the community here as well. But on TikTok, I can tell you that I have the best followers on TikTok. They're cool, they're low key, they're intelligent, funny, and we never really have issues. I can have a live with 2,000 people in it, and everybody's chill with each other. And that's how it should be. On top of that, our elected officials are too old to even begin to understand TikTok. I'm going to say this last thing, and then we're going to move on to Riley Strain. We've had one president that didn't firsthand experience segregation. and that was Barack Obama. Now you look at the age of everyone else. The average age of our legislative branch is 75. When the silent gen and the baby boomer generations make up less than 25% of the people now, you have silent gen who makes up less than like 10. And there's so many silent gen that are making the decisions for every younger generation. There's so many baby boomer generations making decisions, out of touch decisions for Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and soon Gen Alpha. So maybe we need some fresher blood in there. And that's not a partisan statement. It's bipartisan. We just need some younger people because these guys are out of touch. They don't know the difference between Singapore and China. Anyways, that's the closest you're going to see me get to politics. Let's talk about Riley Strain. Now, there was a lot of information dropped on News Nation. There's some information that I found out, a small tidbit that I'm going to share you guys about the fraternity brothers, about the funeral, Riley's funeral. After I signed off last night, in the sub live, I mentioned it because I'd found out between signing off and going on the sub live. And I did a whole video about this. So if you want to go into and see the video that we did last night on Riley Strain, go check it out. You'll get it more in depth than you want, probably, maybe. But I can tell you a lot of what you want to know right now without having to go and do all that. So Riley's family were on News Nation last night. We're on Ashley Banfield. And the first thing that we're going to lead off with is the fact that Riley apparently had texted his mom and said that he had a drink that tasted funny. And she said, well, maybe you shouldn't drink that. And he said, it tastes like barbecue. And she says, well, that sounds awful. And he says, well, it sounds good, but it's not. Kind of funny. And I've seen people in my comment section, and this is on the rum and coke, by the way, but I've seen people in my comment sections saying, I think it's weird that the parents haven't said anything about this text until now. That's sus. No, it's not. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But it's not. But a rum and coke is a rum and coke is a rum and coke. You know, you could go from a dark rum to a light rum. But for the most part, that's all it is. It's not supposed to taste like barbecue. People say, well, maybe they did some kind of smoky drink there. No, not at Luke's. It's too busy. The bars at Broadway are too busy to do specialty cocktails. Yeah. So we also learned a little bit of a timeline. And let me show you what this looks like. Well, I say timeline. We learned, I'll just show you. We learned a route. Okay. In order, you can kind of see what I have here. He started off, I did this little map for you guys, from Miranda Lambert's, which is right here. Then went to Garth Brooks' place. Then went over to Kid Rock. Then ended up here at Luke's 32 Bridge. He was there for a total of 21 minutes between 9:15 and 9:36. By the way, in Luke's, they have 150 cameras. 150 cameras. So if there's something there, hopefully they caught something. Although the local investigation on this is now closed. It's now a state investigation. We can assume probably that that's TBI, but that's a whole different discussion. Because we've seen kind of how the TBI has handled a few things lately. We see how Sebastian Rogers, Leo Santinello, Holland Snap, Jennifer and Adriana Wicks, which is an older case, but still. And we see how those are being handled. But somebody also brought up a really good point to me about Luke Bryant. And this is something I didn't talk about last night. This is a really good point. In that 21 minutes, Summer Wells, as somebody just pointed out, that's another good example. But he was in that bar for 21 minutes. And in that time, they have that he ordered a beer and he ordered 2 waters. Why is that significant? Because I didn't make this connection. Somebody else made this connection. And I'm like, holy crap. You're right. When you have something that is put in your drink that's not supposed to be there, excessive thirst is one of the side effects. You would quench it with water. So to down a beer in 2 waters in 21 minutes could support. We're not saying that he was, had something put in his drink. That's not what we're saying here, because that's not been confirmed. Please know that. I am under the impression, personally speaking, I'm under the impression that he had something put in his drink. But it would support the fact that maybe that is what happened. And somebody slipped something into his rum and coke. And then when he got to Luke's Bryant bar, he was already feeling the effects. It would be interesting to check the cameras of these other bars that night, because you would think that, with geofencing, they would probably be able to find a rough timeline as when he was there and pull those cameras. And all of those bars are going to have cameras. I just find it very interesting. The other thing that we talked about last night was the fraternity brothers. And you know that I have a lot to say about Delta Chi. And I have a lot to say about the fraternity, this particular chapter, because I've said it and I'll continue to say it. But when Riley went missing, they didn't search. Some say that they did. They searched for what? A couple hours, 5 hours, 7 hours, whatever. Let's say they did. Well, they're good for them. But the next day, they call the police. Riley's family's hauling butt to get down here to Nashville. I live in Nashville, for those of you who don't know that. And when they arrive, they see some of the fraternity brothers talking to the police. The family gets out to continue the statement. And they leave. They go get ready for their formal. They have a brother that's missing. They're filing a missing persons report. Family's there. And they go out to party. They're not looking for their friend. They're not creating some type of search, and rescue. They're going out to party. They come back. They see the family sitting in their truck. They wave. Hey, how's it going? See you later. Next day, they get in their buses and go back to Missouri. A lot of people say, well, maybe it was hazing. No, you're not going to haze an upperclassman. That is reserved for new pledges and pledges only. Now, could you punk or mess around with an upperclassman, a brother that's, equal class to you? If you guys were in the same pledge class or they're a class above you, whatever. Yeah, but Riley was a senior. He was graduating in a couple months. So that wouldn't have happened. Very unlikely, at least, that somebody would have been punking him. Now, is it possible? My friend Dan Catula, who was in here last night, and Dan knows a lot about fraternities, I trust him implicitly, said that he can give tons of examples of fraternity brothers putting substances in drinks as a joke because it's funny. I don't think it's funny. I'm not saying that that's what happened at all. But what I can tell you is that the fraternity's been radio silent. The family's not got information from the fraternity. They're begging for information from the fraternity. They had a vigil that the family wasn't invited to, or they were invited 3 hours before, knowing that the family lives 4 hours away. But some did show up to the funeral. And when we were first reporting this, I was furious that they didn't show up to the funeral. There's about 150 to 200 members of this fraternity. What I found out last night, this was not on News Nation. This was not on my live afterwards, but I have it on good authority that 42 brothers out of the 150, 200 brothers, 42 of them showed up to the funeral, to the actual funeral. They were bussed in, they had a chaperone, and as soon as it was over, they left. There are so many stories like this with fraternities, not just Delta Chi, although Delta Chi in particular has a lot of blood on their hands. And what I found really interesting is that the parents, despite all of this, still wouldn't mention Delta Chi by name. News Nation wouldn't mention Delta Chi by name. Why? Are we afraid of this organization? I know that they're watching me. I know that they are. That's not me being paranoid. We have evidence of that. So if you're watching, why are you so afraid of trying to do some kind of change, affect some kind of change to protect these kids? Because you don't want this stuff to be a PR nightmare. Well, what do you call this? Adam Oakes was killed as a pledge on his first night. Now you have Riley Strain, who I'm going to go out and say that very likely the fraternity brothers were not directly involved with his death. They sure as heck didn't look, and that doesn't look good. You lawyer up, you pay out your limits, and there are so many examples of Delta Chi specifically, and some in Pikes and Sigma News, and so many of these fraternities, and the things that they do, and none of them want to reform. And I don't get that. Because I would be much more comfortable sending my child to be in Greek life if I felt that they were safe. Speaking of Dan Cotulo, he's calling me right now. Anyways, law enforcement is still holding this as an accident. And the family's not sure of that. They say if it's an accident, give us proof. Show us proof that this was an accident. Because it's weird. And even me, I try to be as pragmatic as I can. And I'll say the shortest route from A to B is a straight line. And in this case, got, over intoxicated by whatever you want to say, fell into the river. But then that doesn't explain why there was no water in his lungs. It doesn't explain why a pair of quality leather JustIn boots on feet that are this freaking big in the water came off, followed by a pair of wet denim that was held on by a belt above his hip bones, came off, but boxer shorts stay on. It's weird, and I can't figure out a logical explanation that you would be in a current that's strong enough to rip off your boots, both of them, and it would have to be the boots first, because otherwise the jeans aren't going. Rip off your boots, rip off your jeans, but leave thin, slight elastic waist boxer shorts on. It makes no sense to me. I don't get it. I can't logically process how that would happen. I just don't get it. What else do I have here? Oh, I got to talk about the hotel. Before I talk about the hotel the night that all this happened, the other thing I want to talk about is Nashville. And I talked about this last night too, and it's the fact that Nashville hates negative publicity. Talk about what happened a year ago at Covenant. The manifesto was never released. They want this to go away. It's easy to call this an accident, got too inebriated, fell into the river. Case closed. We're done. Case closed. We're done. Wrapped up. Nice little bow. It was an accident. Not going to happen to you when you come to Nashville. You're not going to get something slipped in your drink if you come to Nashville. Keep coming, bachelorette parties, because you're a big part of our tourism budget. Keep coming. Instead of addressing the issue, because when we made these videos, especially early on as creators, there were so many people. Luke Bryant's bar and Kid Rock's bar particularly are apparently notoriously well known for people having stuff put in their drinks. So why not address that? You have 150 cameras. They're ran like casino. These giant mega bars are ran like casinos. You can't look at somebody sideways in a casino and not be taken out or talked to. So I don't understand why you can't do this in these bars when you have a problem, at least long enough till these problems go away. You kick a few people out for doing that, it's going to stop. But now we'll talk about the hotel. And then we're going to talk about Sebastian a little bit. I want to talk about the hotel. So I don't know if it was the same night or the night after Riley went missing, somebody apparently wrote a letter to the parents that was staying at the hotel that was not associated with the fraternity. Okay. And again, I'm going to come back to this in a second. Like, why is this coming out? Just like, why did the text to his mom Kip just come out? And I'm going to come back to that. But apparently, this person said that there was a lot of commotion in the hallways. They were on the third floor, people running back and forth, doors were slamming, etc. People were upset. They were emotional. And apparently, what it was about was it was not about Riley. It was about one of the brothers hurting their hand, not about their missing fraternity brother. It was about somebody hurting their hand. And I'm not saying this to say that this brother hurt his hand by doing something to Riley. I'm not saying he's not. I don't have enough information to make a conclusion one way or the other. I'm saying that we know that they had a hurt hand and they cared more about this brother and all these people coming up all night out in the halls, etc., over hurt hand. That seems a little weird to me. Again, I'm not being accusatory. I'm just saying it seems weird. But when you drink, emotions get high. When you're young, emotions get high. It could be that. It could be that simple. Again, I try to take the path of least resistance. But I'd like to know more information about it. How did he hurt their hand? I don't know. So going back to what I said earlier when we were talking about Riley, about the comment, about the drink, and about this letter, and why have we not heard about this until now? People are finding that sus. Guys, it's common sense. They said that the state investigation is over. It's closed. It's taken over. Sorry, not the state. The local is done. It's closed. And so now they're probably able to talk about things that were part of the local investigation that aren't necessarily part of the state investigation. Things like that text message and the letter. Just so y'all know. Logical. But the parents are begging for help and they're not getting it. I want to talk about Sebastian. I had some information sent to me about a rumor that's going around. There's a lot of rumors going around about Seth Rogers and the Proudfoots. And there's a PI named Heather that's working with Seth. And let's talk about some of this. I want to talk about the PI first, because apparently I've not heard these rumors, but another great creator, Trev Time. Trev is the one who did the Nina Gomez interview. Definitely follow him on here. It's Trev Time. Said that apparently that there's a PI. Her name is Heather, and Heather used to be a model, and now she's a private investigator. And people are giving her hell because I guess you can't have a previous life before you do other things. People don't make career changes. Modeling is not something that typically lasts forever. So her name is Heather, became a PI, and people are saying things like she's doing this for publicity. She's doing this for her career. She's doing that for her modeling career. She's doing this for money, for whatever the case is. Well, I mean, first of all, you work for money, but I'm pretty sure she's doing it pro bono. She doesn't have experience as a PI. She's been a PI for 8 years, y'all. The rumors that she was one for 1 year. She's been a PI for 8 years. She's serious. She's worked hundreds of cases. So if you hear those rumors, please stand up for her, because there's a lot of people getting involved in the Sebastian Rogers case that are really muddying the waters. The other things that I want to talk about are the polygraphs. So I know that Seth took his polygraph. To the best of my knowledge, to the best of Seth's knowledge, those results are not back. When they come back, he'll share them. But apparently, according to some unknown source, there are creators on here who claim they have a source, and that's fine. I'm not saying the source isn't legit. I'm always very apprehensive and skeptical, especially when you have somebody like Chris Proudfoot. But Chris is apparently saying, or apparently whatever this creator is saying, is that Chris Proudfoot took his polygraph and he passed. I don't see one news article about it. I haven't seen anything come to me directly from any direct source. And I'm not saying that that doesn't make it untrue. I'm saying that I haven't seen it, and I will not, if I can help it, report on something unless I truly, truly, truly trust the source that I'm getting it from, or read about it in black and white by multiple people. Gotta do a quick shout out here, okay, because I see somebody in the chat. How do I make you bigger? Here, I'm gonna put them up here. If you guys don't follow the Pascal show, you definitely should. I love Pascal. This man is my brother. Follow him. The work that he does on social media is incredible. Most of y'all probably follow him if you follow me. Go follow him. Go follow him. But I don't trust the sources. Pascal, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to text you something. I'm going to send it to you. If you want to come up, it's up to you, man. Up to you. I know you're busy. If you want to come up, man, come up for a few minutes. I'm going to send you the link. Hold on, guys. We'll see if we can encourage him. Why can I not find your thing? Hold on, buddy. Hold, please. All right, there we go. All right, if he wants to come up, he is welcome to come up. Anyways, Pascal's awesome. Amazing. Definitely give him a follow. But yeah, I just, until I see it myself, I'm just going to be a little bit skeptical about it. That's what I got. There's no real updates on Sebastian other than that. And that in and of itself is frustrating. It's been 7-8 weeks now. There's no leads, no evidence. You have one parent, one person out there looking, a man who's literally killing himself to do so, while the other one goes gallivanting to West Tennessee, to Mississippi, to wherever. The other thing that I want to address real quick is the Bauer Sox. And I'm just going to speak very frankly about them because we know they went to Alaska. And I'm not saying, hey, let's not check Alaska. I'm not saying that. But they're also at the beach right now. My understanding is Puerto Rico. And people are like, I can't believe they're doing that while their grandchild's missing. Sebastian Rogers is not the Bauer Sox grandchild. I have seen enough about the Bauer Sox to, in my opinion, what I've observed is that they are toxic individuals who will do anything for their son, but other than that appear to, in my opinion, appear to be very selfish and self-centered. And if they have a kid here that they don't care about, which is how I interpret the way they feel about Sebastian, just in their actions, then they're going to take their vacations and they don't care. It doesn't mean that they're doing something nefarious. It just means that they're not good people. You know, at least with this. The optics are terrible, guys. The optics are terrible. I don't know. I want to talk about the petition too real quick. So for those of y'all who aren't aware, I would hope that most of y'all know at this point. Right now, the goal is 15,000, and we're trying to get more than that. But there is a Sebastian Rogers petition, and here's the purpose of this petition. Seth Rogers, I'll scroll down to show you. Started by Seth Rogers. Pascal's asking me. Seth is basically trying to get the FBI to take over this investigation. They're involved, but he wants them to take over, and we want enough people that they take notice. So go sign it. The easiest way to find is go to the link in my bio and just sign it. It's real easy. Link in my bio, justontiktok.com. If you're not looking at it, you can't see my bio, can't get to it. Justontiktok.com. Very simple. And scroll down to the link section. It's the very top link. Sign it. We're at 12/5/32. Pascal, I think, is going to come on for a few minutes, by the way. Real quick, while we're waiting for Pascal, I'm going to show y'all something. Let's go to something. I almost want to say lighter, but it's not really lighter. Let me share this story with you guys. I'm just going to share it. I just want to see y'all's headline. You guys see your face when you see the headline. Well, I can't see your face, but why isn't it down? goes. I don't know why it's not showing up the way it should. Okay, well, you can't see it, but here's what the headline says. Woman accused of wheeling dead uncle into a bank to sign the loan. Basically, what happened was she took the guy in, calling him Uncle Paolo, acted like he was alive. On the cameras, you could clearly tell he was not alive, secured a loan of $3,250 and walked out. When she got confronted by the police, and now she's been charged with fraud and abuse of a corpse. She's like, oh, well, he was alive when I brought him in. Yeah, I don't think they're buying that. But it's like some Weekend at Bernie stuff. And so we're sharing, well, Pascal's hell, let's bring it on. You know, he always gets to say that I'm a friend of his show, but now it's a friend of my show.
What's
Pascal,
popping?
what's up, my friend?
What's up, man? I can only be on for like 5 minutes, but I wanted to hop on, say what's up to the JustIn on TikTok fam and all that. How you guys doing? What's good? What's popping? How y'all living? Hope you guys are well. Okay. But thanks for the shout out, man. I do appreciate that. I really do. Of
course.
So what's up? What are you guys covering? What's going on?
We talked about Riley. We talked about Sebastian. Where do you want to jump in? We talked about the Weekend at Bernie's guy.
I saw the video this morning, man. Let me keep it real. That was really messed up. It's really, really messed up.
In like a month and a half that I've covered a story like that.
That's the second time you've covered something like that?
That's
like scary.
A month or two.
That's scary, man. That there are people out there that are willing to do something like that. That diabolical. That's insane, man. That's really, really insane. Shoot, I just got done talking about Riley. The interview with Brian Enton. The family had the interview with Brian Enton, and I'm going to be honest. Man, that case has gone so many different directions. Now there's new information about the fraternity brothers, and how they were acting and how they've been treating the whole case. And to begin with, it is very interesting, nonetheless. So, man, I don't know what to take of it, to be honest. Because it could be a thing of them just being selfish a-holes, right? Just being absolutely self-centered frat boys, young and dumb. But then, I don't know, there's another part that's kind of like, well, maybe could there be something sinister involved in this? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
One thing for sure, though. He was on the opposite side of the city when this hurt hand happened. Now, I know somebody can probably try to piece something together and be like, well, somebody could have done what they did, hurt their hand in an altercation with Riley. He fell into the river, jump into an Uber, go all the way back to the other side of the city, and then the commotion happened. Sure, that's possible, but it's a lot of choreography. That's a lot of choreography during around the same time that he went missing. So I don't know. It's a lot it's a lot,
It is a lot. And my concern about the hand wasn't even that, like you said, something sinister happened. They got into some kind of altercation. It's that they cared more about a hurt hand than a missing fraternity brother.
Yeah.
But that's been evident the whole time. Something else that you may not be aware. I'm sure you know. If you've not, I don't think you've talked to him yet, but I know that you are aware of my new friend Dan Catullo, the guy from Hollywood, and he does a lot with fraternity things. And he was in here last night, and he was like, "You know what? It's not uncommon for fraternity brothers to put things in their drinks as a joke, to be funny." The other thing that he also let me know, that's good confirmation, is that we do know that the fraternity brothers showed up to the funeral, and out of 150, 60, whatever, it was 42 of them.
Only 42 of them showed up?
42. They came in on a bus. They were chaperoned there and chaperoned out. Left.
That's really messed up. I know that when I had Chris Dingman on the show, he said something along the lines of, the fraternity brothers, like some of them did show up, pay their condolences, but they didn't really say much. They just kind of showed up, shook their hands, said their condolences, and then just kind of stood in, and were just there as a part of the ceremony. And then they jumped back in there on their little shuttle and shuttled back to the university. So that is very interesting. Just hearing any of that,
Yeah.
as far as like, I figured it was all of them. I figured all of them would be there because no matter what, it's their brother that passed away. It's their brother that died. They should have been there, man. But that's the thing. When you hear more information about how they were treating the situation, even after they figured out that he was missing, is beyond me. The fact that they were too busy and more concerned, allegedly more concerned and focused about getting messed up and partying than they were actually concerned about their own brother, I think is just, that's not what fraternities were all about back in the day. They weren't like that. So it's heartbreaking to hear about the fraternity. I'm not sitting here saying that they have anything to do with his disappearance and to his death, but it does show their character and it shows how they operate out here in these streets. And I don't know about you guys, but if I had a son that wanted to go and pledge with them, I'd be telling him hail to the Nah. I'd be telling him hail to the Nah right now. That's not how you treat people.
The other thing that I've learned through this whole lens of Greek life is sororities have issues, but they're more mentally taxing versus physically, like the fraternities we see. I also asked Dan, do the historically black fraternities have these issues? No.
None. Hell no. They don't do it like that. They don't roll like this. They don't. They just don't. Okay. But the black fraternities are not that heavy into the alcohol binge drinking lifestyle. It's just not like that. The I hate to say it like that, but the white fraternities, it's been put into the zeitgeist. Okay. I mean, ever since Animal House and so on, it has been put out there to be like, oh, fraternities, the white fraternities, they go crazy, they get white boy wasted, they drink, they party, they get crazy, and they do stupid stuff when they're drunk. And I feel like that is the stigma that has been attached to white fraternities for a very long time. And I feel like a lot of them feel obligated to have that, to meet that bar, right? To meet that, those expectations, right? Within the binge drinking, etc. You don't see this in black fraternities. You just don't. It's not, the lifestyle's not like that. The way that they approach alcohol and binge drinking, it's non-existent pretty much. So it is interesting. It's a different thing. It's there's a brotherhood, whereas I see at least in this fraternity, I don't see a brotherhood. Okay, it's a brotherhood within the black fraternities. They're proud to be a part of that, to be a part of that group or be a part of that fraternity. But now I'm seeing a different vibe in the white fraternities. It's very much about me, what I need, so on and so forth. And, it's the binge drinking and all that stuff. It's still the same. It's still the same of getting laid. It's still the same of all that stuff. But as far as the taking care of each other thing, I feel like that's gone out the window. And that just might be the way the modern day age is now, and just the general consensus of how the world works now, which is really sad. We're too busy on selfies and worried about likes and views than the safety of our friends. It's kind of sad.
That's how it was years ago too. Even before social media, when I was in a fraternity, that's what they were about. And there were like 3 to 5 specific ones that are the worst. The top tier, it's the Pikes, the Sigma News, Delta Chi. Those are 3 of them. I can't remember the other 2 off the top of my head, but there's like 3 to 5. And there needs to be a change. There needs to be more exposure on it. And, even though in this particular situation, there's no evidence or proof to suggest that the brothers had anything to do with Riley's demise.
Yeah.
But what they did afterward showed a pathetic excuse for brotherhood. But then you look at somebody like Adam Oakes, first night as a pledge, a Delta Chi pledge in Virginia, and they kill him. They unalive him. First night, night one.
Party over him. Party on top of him.
Party on top of him.
As he's passing away, because they just wanted to pick on him because he was physically a little bit different from everybody else in the fraternity. And that's sad. And I know that that's a tale as old as time as far as other incidents that have happened in Greek life, in pledging and all that. These things get very extreme, and people these fraternities make these pledges, do very stupid things, sometimes very dangerous things, and then they lose their life. It's messed up. And then you see something like this that could have easily been avoided by somebody just checking in on him, by somebody else just doing what they need to do to help their fellow man. It just, like I said, it just blows my mind that there are people out here that are willing to not do whatever it takes to take care of their friend. It's very, very sad. And hearing that from the family and hearing how crushed they are and how they weren't even willing to stay with them. They got dressed that night to go kick it, to go to another event. Like I said, it's mind blowing. I get it that maybe you have to have some representatives showing up for that event to represent Delta Chi. Sure, fine. You do that, but you're telling me all of them had to go? All of them had to go to that ceremony, or all of them had to go to that event? I think that's ridiculous. I think that's absolutely ridiculous, and it's wrong. In at least in my personal opinion, if I were in their shoes, I would have stood right next to the family and would have said, "Hey, whatever you need, I got you. Sure, you don't need to be on news. You don't need to be on these podcasts. You don't need to be being a voice out here on a microphone. Not at all. But just by showing up and being supportive of the family that is desperately trying to find your brother, that's all they wanted. That's all you needed to do." I just think that these people, these kids, just very selfish, very self-centered. It just breaks my heart, man. It just breaks my heart when you hear that kind of stuff. So
it's like not one of them had the ability or was raised to do the right thing. The family shows up. They see these kids talking to the cops. They take over because they're family, and they're like, "Guys, see you later. We got to get ready for the formal."
Yeah.
Like,
what form? And it's like that's the thing. You're more worried about getting liquored up and getting laid than you are actually worried about your brother who just disappeared, because that could have been you. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the realization that all these fraternity kids should be having coursing through their brains right now. That could have been you. But then you sit there, you don't do anything, you don't say anything, you hide behind a lawyer, you don't make any statements, even just have a spokesperson out here making statements for your ass. You don't do that. You hide behind a lawyer. And then when people start calling you out on it, that's when you decide, "Oh, we're going to do a vigil. Hey, we're going to do the vigil. Hey, we're doing a vigil, guys. Don't you see we're trying? We're trying. We care."
I should be laughing
because we're doing the vigil.
Voice.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, nah, man, you waited all this time. You have not shown up to anything. And now you want to do a vigil because people are starting to call you out, because people are starting to talk and start wondering how and why you are operating the way that you're operating right now. No, bro, it's too little, too late. It is too little, too late. Okay?
The other thing that I want to point out to what you just said was, yeah, it could have been them. But here's what you also need to look at. If it ever does become you, this is what's going to happen. This is what your family's going to go through.
Yeah.
If it does happen to you, but they don't think it's going to happen. You remember being in your early 20s. You're invincible.
Yeah.
You're immortal.
Yeah. Young, dumb, and full of, you know what I mean? Full of opportunities. Right?
Future.
The future. There's so much going on in the future. So, I mean, it just pisses me off when I hear when I saw that interview, when I saw that information, that revelation really broke my heart because that family needed help. That family really needed help. The police weren't doing anything. They needed that fraternity. They needed that solidarity from the fraternity, and the fraternity just dropped the ball. That's just what I say about that. But I got to hop off here. I'm sorry, man. But I wanted to come on. I appreciated you inviting me. Love to come back again soon. You know what I'm saying? Yes, guys, you were talking about the petition on a whole other conversation, but with Sebastian Rogers, there is a petition for the FBI to get involved. You just said that. And I'm just going to reiterate, please go, sign it, show some love, because apparently they are there, but they're just not the spearhead. They're just not leading the investigation. And the other thing too is the reason why they may not be all up in this mess and spearheading the investigation is because there's not enough evidence out here, I think, for the federal agents to get involved. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I just say, please sign the petition. The more signatures we get, hopefully it'll get law enforcement, FBI involved and focused. And man, if we could shoot this thing up with a shot of steroids real quick, that would be phenomenal.
It's up to 12/5/57 as we talk.
Which is dope. We need to get it to 15 tonight, by tonight. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have one question for you.
Shoot.
In front of God and all of our friends here.
Okay.
Want your CrimeCon ticket?
Oh, my Lord.
I bought mine yesterday.
I will be buying it. I will definitely be buying it next week.
All right.
I will definitely be buying it next week.
You guys heard it here.
No. I'm going. When is it again? I keep forgetting the date. Is it Memorial Day weekend?
Yes.
It's Memorial Day weekend?
I think it's.
Please don't tell me it is.
Hold on. My show is more lax than yours. So it's not Memorial Day weekend. Hold on.
Oh, thank God.
It looks like it's not.
Oh,
I'm good. I love my Alexa coming on.
Don't forget to take out the trash cans. Okay.
Why? Thank you.
Alexa, play Hanson Umbop.
She can't hear you because I got the headphones on.
I just wanted to mess with you. I don't know.
Okay, Memorial Day is the 27th.
Absolutely terrible.
This is the 31st through the 2nd or 3rd. So it's not Memorial Day. So you're good.
So it's not good. Memorial Day weekend.
It's the weekend after.
Oh. Wait.
Memorial's
it's
on
May.
the 27th.
But it's May. Isn't the event in May? Hold up.
At the end of May, and it goes into June.
Oh, wait.
That's how calendars work.
Wait. Memorial Day weekend.
How that look? Is the 27th. It's Memorial Day. So the 26th and 25th of the weekend.
So then you're saying the 31st and on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Sorry. I was looking at April. I had April up and I'm like, wait a second. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. So cool. All right. Yes. So next week I'll definitely be making a purchase. Because I definitely want to go. I'm definitely going. It's just that I haven't bought the second way.
Our friend Lauren's going to be there.
Lauren Conlon?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean the one that was just you're talking about Lauren Conlon that was on the show?
I didn't see your show. I heard you talk about her. But yes, our friend Lauren Conlon.
Okay, right on. That's cool. That's exciting. I mean, I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there, so I'm really looking forward to meeting everybody. Actually meeting you in the flesh for the first time too. So yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. And yes, haven't bought the tickets yet, but I am going to be buying those tickets next week for sure. Top of next week for sure. All right.
You can bring your roadcaster and I'll bring my roadcaster and we'll
just do a random duo show with two audio interfaces just for the hell of it, right?
I've kind of figured it out, by the way. Finally.
Good. It's about damn time. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
I
you can
appreciate it.
finally, make some noise here. Just stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I love it. Now I need to get a theme song. Actually, somebody told me today, before I got on this show today, that I needed to talk to you to get my own theme song.
Talk to me about getting a theme song.
That's what they said.
Okay.
You need to talk to your friend Pascal about getting your own theme song. I'm like, well, I kind of have a theme song, but it's just instrumental music. But
I mean, we could definitely talk about it. I would say for right now, if you're happy with what you have right now, use what you have right now. This theme song I've had for way before YouTube. So, but yeah, we could definitely talk about it. I mean, why not?
era of good music.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you go. I know you got
All right,
things
brother.
to do. I appreciate you stepping on, and we'll be in touch.
Of course.
Soon.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. Have a great one. See you soon.
Make sure to go subscribe to Pascal if you don't already. And yeah. Now, the great thing about this show, because I'm going to have to wrap up and go get my own kid, and I wanted to talk about more things, and we will talk about them later, maybe tomorrow if we have to, specifically the Kansas City women, or the Kansas women, not Kansas City women, Kansas women. But the great thing is, if you're watching this on YouTube, you guys don't need a recap. You're able to go back to the very beginning of this and start it over, fast forward, do what you want to do. That is the glory part of YouTube. Wonderful platform. Anyways, guys, it's about that time. I got to pick up the kid. We're going to go. I'll see you guys a little bit later. By the way, don't forget that tonight on TikTok, I will upload it to YouTube. But we're going to be interviewing Caleb Harris's family tonight around 9:30 Central. It's April 17th on TikTok. And then we'll upload it later. I want to do it here too. They don't want to do it here. I got to pick up my kid. I'll see you guys soon.